just waiting for it to go live, and then we're just gonna get started soon. Hold on. So there we go. All right. So this is holding court with King Mumbles. We got our guest already in the building, so we're just gonna be getting started like that. I'm your host, King Mumbles. You know, we do interviews with artists, business people, different people of interest. You know, just to give them some shine, give them some flowers. So how I like to start my interviews there is um, to let you introduce yourself to the people. So tell them who you are and what you do.
All right. I appreciate the invitation and letting us get on here and talk a little bit. My name is Ty Brueilly, um, and I'm an artist of multifacets. I started out in music. Then from music, I moved into photography, videography, filmmaking, and I do some fashion design at the moment.
Oh wow! So you're like a full set of talents there. So you started out in music, you're saying. So that is what, as a rapper or?
Yeah. Well, actually, it was a DJ. So I went to college at Appalachian State University here in North Carolina, and
Mhm.
I always kept a lot of CDs on me, mostly hip hop. It was, that's the late '90s, early 2000s, so that was a really prime time in hip hop. So I would always get a lot of CDs. My roommate at the time was in a fraternity, so basically, he just hired me to be a DJ at his parties and using all my CDs and things like that. So
Okay.
professionally, I started out as a DJ, and then one night, I had instrumentals from those CDs and a microphone, and I had always written music, but I never thought I would take it any more serious than just that. So being a DJ with having a microphone in my hand, I was able to just take the advantage of that situation and start doing rap there. And I enjoyed it, and I've been doing that for almost 20 years or over 20 years now.
Okay. So you're still like rapping professionally, like coming out and dropping material and everything?
Yes, sir. I came out with my last three. I had three albums in 2023, which was my busiest year in my whole career. So I'm working on new material. I'm going to the studio 2 times this week to try to wrap up just scraps of different things that didn't make albums.
Mhm.
So that I can kind of try to create so either an unreleased compilation or um, something brand new. Uh, I'm not really sure. I don't have a direction on which album I'm gonna go with. There's like, as you know, as an artist can have many different things in their mind, and they just don't
Yeah.
have it's scattered around. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. So who would you say are your biggest musical influences?
Early on, like I said, I'm 44 years old, so right in the prime time of hip hop, I feel like I was growing up at that time. So Biz Markie had always been like that initial first artist that really got me introduced to hip hop in the correct manner, I believe. He could always do the music with his mouth. He didn't need anything but a microphone. Eventually he went with the DJ, but he could do everything right then and there by himself. And it really, Biz Markie spoke to me at an early age to get me interested in hip hop. Of course, it wasn't. It was much, 5-6 years before I started creating my own. But he was that initial, influence. Since then, you've got your Wu-Tang Clan, you've got your I'm a big fan of Brother Ali. I like some of the, I've been getting more into the newer, contemporary hip hop. I like some Smoke DZA a lot. We've done shows here in North Carolina with all the aforementioned people I just said, except for Bismarck. He never got a show with him, but we got pretty deep into the scene from 2007 to about 2014, and we got really good opportunities to perform with some of the best. If they came through North Carolina, we were able to, meet them, talk to them, perform with them. So like, there's a lot of influences that way that I never really liked their music, but I like them as as part of the culture, if that makes sense.
Okay. North Carolina. So who would be like the big artists from out of there, from out of that scene?
Okay, the biggest one, everybody knows is J. Cole. Um, he comes from Fayetteville, which is about an hour away from here. You got
Mm,
the baby from Charlotte. He's
yeah.
he's bigger on a different whole genre subgenre of hip hop. Then we have Little Brother with Ninth Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
Ninth Wonder ended up making a lot of beats for Jay-Z. And Ski Beats was the main producer of Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt. He's also here from North Carolina. So
Okay.
we've got some soul and we've got some trap here in North Carolina. We're very we're very not disorganized, but we don't have a unique sound. It's so like, I mean, we have a unique sound. We just don't have a pinpointed
Mm,
sound. Like Atlanta has that sound. New York has that sound. The West Coast, the Bay Area, everybody like that has that particular sound. But we have such a wide array of different sounds that it can't be really pinpointed. And which is a beautiful
mm.
thing. It's a gift and curse at the same time.
Okay. And what would you say would have been one of your best moments and one of your worst moments doing music?
Okay. I would say best moments is when it was early on, was 2005. I had the opportunity to do a small tour in Europe.
Oh.
That was a beautiful time. Nas was also touring in Europe around the same city, so like I was able to perform like the after party spots for the Nas concert. Nas was never there, but it was the same
Mm,
crowd that would go to the Nas concert that they would come to these smaller clubs in Europe. That was a really big highlight in my career. Um, and I was able to. I lived in China for 5 years too, and but
oh.
I didn't. It was wild. Yeah, everybody says kind of the same thing when I say China. Wow, like um,
Mm,
it was different. I didn't go full force with music, but I always did monthly shows at least. I got to perform with Linkin Park and Avril Lavigne, which was not really it didn't really match with my music, but I still had the
mm,
opportunity to do it, and I enjoyed that.
yeah.
Um, and downsides to the music, it's just it's always been time management. It's I have a really hard time accepting that time management. I think that I can do a lot more in the little time that I have, which leaves a lot more audience. So like
Mm,
that's always been a downfall of mine is time management, whether it be for a 10-minute set or it be a whole year long process. It's just it's been hard.
okay. And how would you describe like your music, your sound? Like if somebody was gonna check you out, how would you describe your style?
My sound early on from 2007 to about 2012, 13 is very boom bap, very what I call authentic, originated
Mm,
hip hop. Um, then after that, I started about actually around COVID time, the pandemic time. I started experimenting with, with my vocal range, blending a little bit of pop here and there, if I can, playing with some auto tune, just really experimenting. So like, there's a level of some of my newer music that has those tones in it, but really, um, for the most part, it's that boom bap, 90 BPM, 80 BPM style, that I really enjoy myself. So that's what I would like to put out.
Okay. So, so then you said that you went to photography and film. How did that transition happen?
It's basically what started it is when I started needing music videos for my own work. So I would go to people that I knew that were in that field and would talk to them. And of course, they knowing them, they would cut me deals on the prices with it, but it was always very expensive no matter what. So I got to learn, they allowed me to learn from them early on, to figure out the way around the camera. So I decided it would make sense for me to invest in some cameras. Um, we had a label. We still have a label. It's nothing like it was, but we had a label where there was almost 100 people on it that were on various stages. So having that camera to document those things, that's how it started, and then eventually it kind of led into more passion projects and short films, and then offering my services to other musicians and artists to do their film work and commercials from around the area and documentaries. And especially around the time of the pandemic, again, a lot of things changed. There was a lot of social unrest here, so we did a documentary with the NAACP, our Randolph project. So like those things kind of helped me to to learn the camera, enjoy the camera, and it kind of really has become like my number one at this time, with music kind of on the back end.
Okay. So, so right now you would say, like, if you were ranking them, you were mainly a filmmaker and photography. And okay,
Right. Yeah, I would say filmmaker, like, is at the top.
okay, because I think I've seen that you've done like short film, like movies and film and stuff like that as well.
Right, right. So I've got about 50 titles. Most of them are short films or music videos. I've got those since 2017 is when I like put my first project out. So since then I've had 50 projects. And in 2023 I got a call from LA. They wanted to show one of my more experimental videos, and when that happened, I really took all the initiative of all my focus and put that on filmmaking and like whatever that I had. And it's been for the past over 2 years that I've been back and forth to LA 9 times. uh Had a lot of opportunities there that wouldn't have been possible via music, but also I'm able to use that music in the short film so that I'm able to do both. uh
So, with the film, do you have a style or a look or a vibe of stuff? Like, is there something like with the music video or the movies? Is there something that would like your aesthetic or anything like that specific that you'd say you have?
uh Yeah, absolutely. If it's something that I shoot for, for me and what I like, that my aesthetics is usually black and white, very gritty. I like to play with the exposure. I like to play with the ISO. I like to get it sometimes overexposed, but it's black and white, very gritty. um and I approach, if I approach people or if people approach me, I always like to offer them that option, like, this is really where I excel in. I really feel like the black and white is my style. I can capture a lot more, And so I try to almost talk to my clients into doing black and white unless they really want color, because I feel like black and white, I excel in that, and I'm very familiar with the way to shoot black and white. So if you see something that I've done personally, it's it's going to be black and white. If it's color, it's because the client or the artist really would have rather had that color.
Okay. And what would you say is your, I guess, short term and long term goal with the film? Like, what do you have planned, or where do you want to take it to?
All right. Yeah, short term is I'm focusing on this year. We've also I live in a small city called Asheboro, North Carolina, and last year we started our first film festival here in town. Thankfully, the city teamed up with me and let me work with them in their historic theater. So the last January, this January, we've had two film festivals, and we've brought a lot of people from Hollywood area, LA area here to Asheboro, and they've really enjoyed Asheboro. So short-term goal is to film something from an independent studio from Hollywood here in Asheboro. So right now we're working on that. I'm meeting with the Chamber of Commerce at the end of this week, the tourism department, and then next week the film commission, to see what steps we would need to take for my people from LA to come here to film a feature here in Asheboro. So that's kind of like short term. Long term goal is to continue this film festival for 10 years. Like I initially I thought I was going to just give it 5 years, but it's already been 2. So I'm trying to see if we can get 10 years out of this and grow the area. Down south, it's a Bible Belt. We need a lot more culture here, and I feel like the best way to bring culture is through film, because no matter where you go in the world, during any holidays, it doesn't matter where in the world people like to go to the movies. They like to take their family to the movies for birthdays, holidays. That's a universal thing that people like to do. So, that's the universal language is music and film, in my opinion. And to bring that level of culture here that's the long term.
Okay. And then, all right. So then you were doing the music, you went to the film, and then you've also started to do, you said fashion?
Yes, sir. So fashion kind of went hand in hand with the photography. So I do a really different, unique approach. I say unique a lot, but I do a unique approach on the fashion. So I take the pictures that I've made and I place them on the fabric. So every piece of clothing is something that I've created via
Okay.
photography. So I take each piece and put it together. And we did that. Me and my wife started that in 2015 when we moved back home from China. And we started putting it on leggings and skirts and going to little art shows and craft shows around the area. And like, I've never ever sold out of things for music. I've never sold out of movies that I made, but we would sell out of those clothes, man. The women loved it. So we just every year we've done a little bit more and more to it. We had 2 legitimate fashion shows back in 2021 and 22. And that kind of gave me enough motivation to focus a little bit more on this. And me and my wife had our second son in 2022, so we stopped altogether focusing on clothes until this year. So we brought our fashion line back this year with monthly events. We teamed up with another photographer who is much better than I am. I really take pride in like finding somebody that's better at something than me that can help get my vision out. So his name's Josh Pugh. He's in Randleman, right up the road. So we go to his studio every month, and it's an opportunity for aspiring models and experienced models to come try on the clothes, get their photos taken, and then get a really good deal on the clothes if they want to. But if not, at least they have it's something for their portfolio. So we're really like, this is me and my wife talking about things, and it seems like sometimes we just throw, we're just throwing pennies in this well, wishing for things, and we got to make sure that this year is a very critical year for us to see if we're gonna, if it makes sense to continue some of these facets of my art, because like we talked about at the beginning, there's a lot going on, and the more you do, the more you take away from the previous thing. So, and being 44 years old now, you got to understand that it's about it's about what you can make money on now. I
Yeah.
mean, it has to be, and we're throwing away a lot of dollars sometimes. So like this year is also the 20th year anniversary of our company, or our music label that is expanded. So we're saying we're going to dedicate once a month to this fashion, see where it goes. And then by the end of this year, we'll know whether we're going to continue it or we're going to hang it up. And the same thing with we're doing Thursday think tanks for area filmmakers, and we're going to see if we can bring together a bigger core of people for our film festival, for the judges and things like that.
Okay. So you said 20th anniversary. So a question I like to ask people that have been doing their thing for a while, what are one or two things that you've learned over the time that you know now that you just wish you knew at the beginning? It would have, you know?
Yeah, it's the more the older I get, the more clear it becomes as how timeless how timeless art is. Once you get into that, you're first starting off, you think that, you can write a song and record it, and then like a month later, you're sick of it and you feel like it's old and you don't want to push it out anymore. You don't want anything to do with it because you're tired of it. I've seen that with so many artists that sometimes they even delete full files and
Mm,
sessions, and they never see that the song's never there again because they got
yeah.
tired of it. Or our first songs that we ever did back in 2000, I can't find it because I think we did the same thing. We just got tired of it, and now I wish I had it. But art is timeless, and if people really have to understand that in the grand scheme of things, and it comes with age, because the younger we are, the more impatient we are, and the more tunnel vision we have. But if I would have known pretty early on that most art is timeless, and really we're not going to be able to see who we can be until
Mm,
it's done. We're done and over with, and we don't know where we're going to reach, because that level is not going to get there until we're far gone. So we need to really make sure that we have that presence, especially online now. Presence is everything online, of course, physical copies too. But long story short, your art is timeless, and it might be old to you, but it's new to 99.9% of this whole world has not heard what you got or seen what you got.
true, very true. Yeah. So that is a very, especially music, like it's new to everybody else. So as long as the quality is there, like they can definitely appreciate what you do drop. Okay, so another
Right.
thing, kind of the same vein, is like if you had an opportunity to send a message to 18-year-old you to prepare you for life, what would you say? What message would you send?
Start earlier. Start just a little earlier. Um, I think I've been very efficient with my time, but there was, at 18 years old, I could have done, I could have started then. Those 3 years from 18 to 21 that I was just kind of, um, too scared or shy or whatever it was, just sitting in the notebooks, and just start earlier.
Yeah, I can get that. So how do you determine how to manage your time between all of the projects, and how do you prioritize yourself?
Um, Again, since COVID, a lot of things have become a whole different, enlightening. Things have come clear to me. So since COVID, we have two sons now. At that point he was 2 years old. Now he's about to be 7. So the key for me is to wake up early and to take time for myself first before everybody wakes up, so that I can get that out of the way, because we all need time for ourselves. If I can get up an hour or two before everybody else does, get my mind straight, whether I need to write, watch a movie, play a video game, just drink coffee and look out the window, just something for me, so that I'm not feeling the rest of the day like I need that me time. In that point, you can start to compartmentalize what you need to do through the day. So I take it, week by week at this point. Mondays and Fridays are usually what I do for work. Now, whatever I can do, whatever's really the deadline at this point, because I've kind of moved past that planning process, except for the daily routines that you can already have, because things like this can come up, this opportunity, and like, I want to take this opportunity. Things can come up. LA can call and say, hey, next week we want to show your film. Like, so leaving the opportunity for gaps and holes for that is kind of impossible. But at the same time, like I said, if you start doing those routines, and then leaving those holes and gaps to where you're not like really drilling yourself to do it. Because honestly, if you're self-employed and you're doing things on your own, you should take advantage of that fully. You're the only one that tells yourself when this album needs to be done. So if you're telling yourself, just be careful and don't tell the whole world that your album's going to come out March 17th and you're not ready for it. And don't be too hard on yourself, but just kind of like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, don't put too hard deadlines on yourself. And then that's what helps me to do things like this, to like, if I get a call to do something today, I've got the opportunity to do so. And then maybe tomorrow I need to wake up and I need to write, because I am going to the studio twice this week. So I need to make sure that's right too. I don't have an excellent answer, but that's how it's been working for me.
True. So how often do you write?
It went from every day to now it's on a weekly basis. I write a lot when I travel. So that's why I had those, like, for the first time that I've ever had 3 albums in a year, is because I traveled so much in 2023. So I'll write on the plane, I'll write when I'm in the hotel room, I'll write, going back and forth. I'll write when I'm driving to and from the airport, things like that. But like, I used to really sit down and write something of value every day. And what changed is, having kids, that really changed that. And it's, it's not a negative thing. When I say that, some people take it negative, but it's not. It's just another adjustment. But I've found it that I really need the earlier in the day to write, the better. And when I call up, usually at the beginning of the year, I set up with the studio up in Greensboro. It's about 30-45 minutes away. I give him, like, I go ahead and cut him a check for about 16 to 32 hour session. I just go ahead and just give it to him. And then whenever he's available, then that's kind of when I write for music. So he's like, he was available this week, so I'm going to, make sure I write and get something done for this week. So it's kind of like, it's not spur of the moment, and it's not like triggered by anything, but just, I've got the opportunity, let's write.
Do you, because you seem to do a lot of stuff, do you do your own beats, or you have?
I have in the past. I went, that's another thing that kind of switched over from when we had kids. I would make a beat a day. Another thing I would do a beat a day for almost a year and a half. So I've got a lot of beats that are just sitting around, laying around, that I get to other artists, or it's just there for whenever I want to write to them. But for the most part, I have main producer. His name's Westifer. I went to school with him at Appalachian State, and we've been working together for 20 years. 2 years ago, he got signed by Cool and Dre. So he was able to do a record with Dave East. He was just produced a record for Fat Joe's new album. We've done a song with Sadat X, with Ghostface Killer. We So he's my main producer. Then number two, I've got a guy out in Germany I met over to when I was doing the European tour, I met him
Yeah.
there. So he's another guy that I do. I don't. They say it's like riding a bike, but the software, the
Mhm.
hardware has changed so much. Like it's really hard for me to keep up unless I just go into Fruity Loops or something like that. But if you really want to have hands on, like I love an MPC, but like things have changed so much, it's almost like that gap of time I wasn't making beats, I got to relearn a lot. Um, so that's not that deters me from making beats if I've got to relearn something.
Yeah, true. Like, and if you already have people in your camp that can do it, you might as well take advantage of that.
Right.
Um, so I guess a little bit more on the music. What what would be a dream like collaboration that you haven't had yet?
Man, I would this is I guess a fragile thing, but like man, I would love a Kanye West and Rob Zombie like just collaboration. That would be really I know Ye is in a
That
different place right now than but like his music is to me cannot be denied. Just
mhm.
that would be really awesome to have them two connect and then me do something on it with them.
That sounds like that would be like, yeah, that would be very interesting. Like, 'cause both of them, yeah, they have their sound, they have their styles. They'd have to mix. I wouldn't mind hearing that. That's a very interesting collaboration. But it would be musically, I think it'd be very good.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so basically, yeah, you told me your influences. I guess the last question that I ask everybody is, so most people, artists, if you were gonna sit down to dinner with anybody, who would you want to have your meals with? Like, it can be a couple of people. Like, just have a sit down talk meal, pick their brain. Just could be
Um,
a, yeah.
I tell you, if honestly, I'm on a kind of a artistic high and a professional high because I was actually able to do that with um, some people that I've looked up to for a long time while I was in Hollywood. We had them over to Asheboro as our guests of honor. It's Richard and Anastasia Elfman. And the Elfmans, his brother, made the Batman's theme song, the Simpsons theme song. They started Oingo Boingo together with the Weird Science. And somehow in this crazy scheme of things, the world has brought me into their life to where they invited me to their house for dinner. And I don't think it could get better than that because just learning from him and giving us like his honest opinion about the music industry, the filmmaking industry, because he they call him the king of cult classic films because of Forbidden Zone. And then his wife Anastasia is now in this horror genre with Bloody Bridget. Is a it's a up and coming. I think like it's going to be another horror icon. Uh, so like just that mixture of music and film from somebody that's very established. Um, like I didn't know how much I needed that conversation because I would have said something like of course Jay-Z or something. Uh, you know that's what I would have answered beforehand. But just being there and listening to these people about how they have progressed in 40 years it was really one of those things where like I don't think I need that right now. I don't think I need another conversation right now yet. Um, their guest for dinner was Brian Usna, who was the director of Beyond Reanimator, Return of the Living Dead 3. He was the creator of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It like just sitting there talking with these guys was like I'm still on a high from it. It's been 2 weeks since then, and it's one of those, I can't believe that happened and how much I learned in just those 4 or 5 hours. So like I said, I guess to answer your question, I'm good on that right now, and we might have to revisit that.
Okay. All right. So those are all my questions. So let everybody know where they can find you and what you have coming up next. If they want to check your clothing, see your
Okay.
movies, give them,
All right. The easiest way for the music is, if somebody's a Spotify or Apple Music, I guess the world's kind of split into those two type of users, either the
Mm,
Spotify or Apple Music, and that's easy. It's TYBRU. That's Ty Brew. That's the easiest way you're going to be able to find my music and listen to it. YouTube Music has the same thing, and then we have the 20th anniversary of Mighty Than the Sword Records. We have a concert festival in May 20. It's Memorial Day weekend, May 23rd, 24th, and 25th at the Sunset Theater here in Asheboro, North Carolina. We're going to have some of the artists from the past, some of the artists that are current. We're going to film some of a documentary, some part of my short film there. It's going to be, the epitome of a festival. So that's the next event going on from Mightier Than the Sword. With the fashion, it's film and fashion by Brueilly.com. And it's spelled just like it is on on this little screen. And we do, like I said, monthly events for that here in North Carolina. So if you're around North Carolina, we're in the middle of the state, so it's kind of easy to get to. If you're in North Carolina, you're looking for an opportunity to build your portfolio up, you can come. What we do is we have a rack of my clothes. You can put them on and try and get your photo taken. And then I'm trying to think what else is going on. Just you look out for new music because I'm going in there this week. But yeah, I can't thank you enough, King Mumbles, for the
thank you
opportunity
for
to sit
coming
down and
through, man.
talk.
All right. So
Um,
yeah, we've been trying to do this, and I had to do it with you, especially when I seen all of the different things that you work yourself in, and that's like a full artistic, creative, avenue. You're just branching off, and just you get to display your creativity in so many different avenues and everything, which I thought was really cool.
well, I appreciate that, man. That gives me more motivation to keep going.
Yeah. So we'll definitely, like, when I updo the description, we'll have the links to all of your stuff for the people and let them know what's going on. Thank you very much for sitting down with us.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good day.
You have a good one. Thank y'all, man.
All right.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for sitting through. That was Ty Brueilly, or you can look him up at Ty Brew, TYBRU. And you know what I'm saying? This is Holding Court with King Mumbles. We got a few more interviews coming up later on this month. Make sure y'all check us and make sure y'all follow through. If you are an artist, entrepreneur, anything that promoter, something creative, something holla at us. And we'll definitely sit down with y'all. All right. Thank y'all very much. This is King Mumbles. Peace.